Welcome, welcome, welcome. It is OSD, Obsessive Sneaker Disorder. It is Wednesday, the best day. This is episode 309. This is the Campless episode. We're going to be joined later on this evening by the one and only Josh Luber of Campless. But in the meantime, man, it is the FIFA World Cup 2014 taking place in good old, man. Brazil is the place to be. And right on cue, Mr. Kudoma, Mr. H-Town Sneaker Summit himself. What's the good word?
Hey, what's up, everybody? Man, I've been out for a little while taking care of some personal business and working hard on the big event. It's coming up. It's like less than, 4 or 5 weeks away now. So it's going down Sunday, July 27th at the new NRG Center, formerly Reliant Center. We'll be having the 11th annual H-Town Sneaker Summit. We got all the info on our page, sneakersummit.com/travel. We got some special deals for you guys if you want to come out on a United airline or stay at the beautiful Sheraton Galleria Hotel. So looking forward to seeing a lot of the Disorderlies out there, and we can talk kicks in person.
Absolutely. But speaking of Brazil, you previewed a little something for us. Come on now.
I don't know if I had these a couple of weeks ago, but I've been celebrating the World Cup. I've been rocking these joints right here. My very first pair of ASIC Gel Light 5s.
Mm-hmm.
I'm a big fan of ASICs. I've never had the 5s.
Nice.
They have that little wraparound collar on the inside, and I don't know. I got the extra rope laces. Yeah, it's like a sock. It's like a little Huarache type deal.
Yeah.
So, but these are very, very comfortable for a retro shoe. Extremely comfortable. I'm actually surprised that these are that comfortable. I would wear these, run in these, everything in these, and then I had to pick these bad boys up right here. Been waiting 10 years for these, the Lance Mountain Jordan SBs. These have been rumored since the creation of Nike SB in 2004. That Jordan was going to have a SB, and this is how it should have been right here. The breads with the paint on them.
Yeah.
Only thing that I'm disappointed with in these is they do not have a Zoom Air insole. It's a traditional Jordan outsole. This pair does have the SB tongue. It's not a fat tongue, but it is a SB tongue.
Okay.
And then the Stesics came with the more traditional, Jordan
textile
brand. So it's kind of got like a unique material on there. But I would say this tongue's more like a traditional Jordan 1 tongue. Whereas I prefer, for SB, I prefer the SB tongue. So I think they did a good job on these.
So you got them both at the same time?
Yes.
Nice.
Had to, man. Been waiting 10 years for this shoe right here. I think they did it right. I'm happy.
Yo, if you come across a 9, let me know.
Yeah, I'm gonna rock them. I'm not gonna beat them. I'll just let them kind of degrade naturally. But yeah, that's one shoe that's definitely they tell a story, and that's how they get you, man. It's nostalgia.
Absolutely. There's a lot going on with those sneakers you just showed and certainly previewed for us. So, man, oh man, there's some good stuff.
D, what you been wearing? What you got today?
You know what? What am I wearing today? Today I actually am wearing my official Walk Good 574s I did a little while ago. A lot of people have seen me, rock these before. I've really been all about New Balance, so this is what I went with today.
Hometown
Can't
hero.
go wrong.
Very nice.
you know, one sneaker says walk, the other one, you know, the left one says walk, the right one says good. Went with the simple color blocking, but you know, the key for me on this one was I really wanted something that, you know, was baby blue with the red back, you know, black toe box, all that good stuff. So a little different. 574, made in the United States. Took all of, I think these took all of maybe 10 business days to arrive. So
Yeah, they're great with getting their stuff out
I
that you
was I was
customize.
I was really happy with that, and glad how they came out. So, you know, shout outs to New Balance. Let's go straight to A. What's the good
Shalom.
word?
Nothing, just living life, loving my nails right now. It's feeling good.
What's going on in New York City, where everyone is, where things are hot, steamy, and all that good stuff?
It's just hot as hell.
Yep, it
Hot
is.
as hell today.
What are people rocking? What are people wearing? What are you seeing on the train in your commute?
I've been seeing a lot of New Balances as well lately.
Ah, okay.
Yeah. Actually, my boyfriend just picked up a pair of New Balances that came out over the weekend. I forget the name of it, but they had like a little line outside of this boutique in Soho, and it came with a free hat, and they also treated the people who waited out line with free iced coffee. So,
It's always
That's a
good when stores
good.
do that.
That's a good look.
yeah.
That's a good look. All right, all right. Well, the champion, she is here. She is the one and only. Getting ready to make that trek. She is simply flower.
What's the deal, y'all?
Man, you getting ready for Cleveland's Got Soul?
Yes, I am. I'll
Okay.
be displaying some kicks there.
Okay. How many pairs of kicks? How many boxes? All that good stuff. What's the count at?
Not really taking boxes, but maybe 25 or so.
Okay.
Take a variety.
Man.
Variety of brands and so on.
Okay.
Do me the favor and bring some sample LeBrons.
And anything you want to preview for the viewers to give them an idea of what they can possibly see?
I'd have to get up, but I can show you what I talk about from time to time. You know how for the brand committed people, I say I like what I like, and I always say one of my top fives are a pair of Tommy Hilfiger sneakers.
Tommy Hill. Yes. Oh my goodness.
They're about 19 years old, still awesome. So.
Tommy Hill, man, they were killing it. Ooh, all right. Mad at that at all. That's some good stuff. Tommy Hilfiger Footwear. Okay, so Cleveland's Got Soul. You know, what's the official date? It's happening real soon.
It's coming Sunday, the 22nd.
Absolutely. Cleveland, Ohio. Make sure you get out there. If not, head on over to clevelandsgotsoul.org for details. You can still book your flight, get out there, and more importantly, support a good cause. Let's go straight to Mr. Show. The man needs a check. People owe him money. Brooklyn Show IDs in the building.
How y'all doing? How's everybody?
We're good, man. We're good. It's finally, well, it's not officially summer yet. That starts when? Saturday?
Saturday.
But
Yeah,
Mother Nature said, "Oh, F your
great.
spring." Yeah, exactly. F your spring.
Summer's premature, obviously.
Man, for real. So A was saying earlier that you need to definitely get a check because supposedly there's some other cork products floating out there.
Oh, she sent me a text message about that. It was funny. For April Fool's Day, I made up a mock cork Air Max 1 for 87. You know, I posted online, and then I started getting text messages, you know, about the sneaker because I posted up the real Air Force One cork that I designing and ordered.
Right.
And I posted that one. So people, you know, I can't log on to that. Can you send me the link to the Air Max 1? So, you know, I told my friends that it was fake, and I took it down the next day because April Fool's was over. And I didn't want it to get ridiculous. Recently, I don't know when exactly it was, but recently she sent me a text that the same day I saw other people post online that Nike made an Air Max cork, Air Max 90, and using the exact same colors that I used for the April Fool's joke. So she was like, somebody's obviously keeping my designs. So I was like, I don't worry about stuff like that.
Cut.
Imitation is the sincerest form of flattery.
Exactly.
As Color said, I always knew that the ID graphic is pretty much, easy way for somebody at Nike to do their job.
Oh, definitely,
They take
because they did
bits and
mine
pieces
too.
from, they keep a whole database of everything, and it's like, oh, okay. So we're gonna bring this out 4 years later. Change the stitching on that, but we're gonna bring that out 7 years, somewhere down the line. Everything is gonna come out. So.
Remember Nike ID lockers?
Yeah.
You broke into your locker.
Gotcha.
Whatever. Nah. So.
Man,
once you post it on Instagram or social media, it's not yours anyway.
True indeed. True indeed. Well, Mr. Ben Berry's in the building. What's the good word, sir? What's happening? What's happening?
Man, it's a lot. It's hot, man. I made the mistake of playing ball today, so I'm kind of still hot from that.
You still recuperating?
Yeah, it's hot. It was not supposed to be this hot. I thought it was still spring.
Well, the joke's on, as they say, joke's on you. Mother Nature said, take that.
Yeah, right. Let's see. Real quick. Let's see. Tomorrow I got a post coming out, the top 21 sneakers that Tim Duncan wore in his career so far. Tim Duncan wore Jordans. People forget that he did wear Jordans for 2 years.
He certainly did.
Let's see. I have at the end of the week. There's a big piece that took me about a month to do called Force versus Flight, where I take Force players and Flight players playing each other. Kind of put them comparable sneakers. It took a really long time actually.
Okay.
But yeah, that's pretty much about it. Playing basketball, trying to stay cool, stay alive.
Gotcha.
Or being a ladies' man.
I wish, man. I wish I had it in me.
Man.
That's why you were sitting with your shirt off right now.
No, it's hot. You don't understand. AC takes up a lot of money in electricity, so.
Now, if I put my AC on, y'all gonna have to mute me.
Yeah, exactly. Well, there's been a lot of activity, a lot of good stuff. A lot of good stuff happening. Like we said earlier, FIFA World Cup 2014. There have been some serious upsets. Spain, which won the cup in 2010, they have already pretty much been eliminated. They ran up against a great team in the Netherlands, and then earlier, man, they got another ass whooping. So, Kadoma though, who are you rooting for? Is it Germany? Is it USA? Or is it,
I don't know.
Is there a sleeper?
You can't help but root for USA. I mean, you gotta have an underdog. But I don't know. I like Italy.
Italy, okay.
My mother's Italian, and so I've been over there. I haven't been to a match over there yet, but I've been over there during a match. And let me just say, I've been in a football stadium, in an American football stadium, with 70,000 screaming, obnoxious fans in the playoffs, in the NFL playoffs, and it still does not compare to soccer hooligans. There's no way. It's like an avalanche coming through the city. It's just like you can feel it in your bones when the match is over and they pour out of the stadium. It's like that loud. It shakes your body. So I mean, it's amazing to see. But what I'm even more amazed by more is all of these World Cup releases. I mean, there's so many World Cup sneakers, from runners to Jordans to, I think Complex did a post like the best World Cup collabs, and there were watches and just
all sorts of good stuff.
All kind of things. Like, there's more World Cup releases than NBA All-Star, which I find unbelievable.
Well, soccer's a bigger game around the world, it's not surprising.
Yeah, but, as far as selling sneakers, does soccer sell that many sneakers? We're going to see if these things sit on shelves.
I'm more worried about the apparel sitting on shelves, because it feels like every brand has like a World Cup themed line.
Yeah, even Nike SB and Adidas Skateboarding have World Cup themed jerseys. I don't know if anyone's seen that.
Have you seen the skate videos they put out?
I've seen the Nike SB one. I've not seen anything from Adidas.
Oh, shout out to the Nike SB team. They're out in New York right now. I got to see the guy Theodis Beasley yesterday, and really tall. I didn't think he was that tall, but they're all out here just skating and doing their thing in New York. It's pretty cool to actually see pros just in the street.
Cool.
I see Ronnie Fig down there in Brazil with the pop-up shop, man, doing his thing.
Absolutely.
Oh, wow.
Shout out to him. I mean, he's doing it. I mean, you can't deny that. He went from Paris to Brazil. Like that's some big moves right there. So
Yeah, absolutely.
you know, spreading the word, the good word.
Well, the one and only Ridiculous Creative is in the building. The O to the N to the E. Man, what's going on? What's happening in Omaha?
Man, we just out here. We're doing big things in the O, mainly trying to avoid these tornadoes.
Man,
it gets heavy out here. Everybody got something, you know. Cali got earthquakes, down south got hurricanes and such. But through the Midwest here in the river valleys, we get them tornadoes, man. Yeah, but it's all good. We out here doing our thing. You know, coaching summer track, working out, doing design and creative work. So it's good.
Okay. Cool. So what are folks wearing right now? What have you been seeing on people's feet? What's been the anything?
Yeah, you know, there's been out this way. Obviously, I'll skip the default because we know what everybody's buying in terms of you know, the popular kitty releases is what I'm gonna keep calling those.
Okay.
The popular kitty releases are obviously being worn because they're being told to wear them.
But, a lot of Carmines.
Shit, thank you. And then some, you know, anything that released last Saturday. But other than that, actually, on a fitness tip, Boost is really big around here in terms of workout gear. A lot of people giving good reviews on that stuff. In terms of fashion, it's spring and summertime, so a lot of the runners are coming out, and the cost-effective runners out this way. There's a lot of the Adidas, you know, the Flex, the Flux. There's a lot of the Tri-Cut that we've seen before. So a lot of the kind of lightweight, semi-barefoot runners are coming out. And people are wearing those, rocking those with their shorts and such. And so that's been really big out this way, is the sort of running culture. And I'm gonna take a little credit because I'm posting mad amounts of running shoes.
There you go, man. Well, right on cue, as we talk about running and trainers and all that good stuff, you know, joining us on the show this evening, coming to you live and direct, what looks like a I don't know if you want to call it a closet, a warehouse, but it is stacked. The one and only Josh from Campless is in the building. What's up, Josh? How you doing?
I'm very good. Thank you very much for having me.
Man, thanks for joining us and being on the show. Man, it's you know, we've been lining this up for a time. When I initially reached out to you, I think you were out of the country. I think you were in Asia.
I was in Singapore, and then I was in...
Okay.
Yeah. That was perfect. But yeah, that'll do the Asian one. So yeah, but I'm back now, so this worked out well.
Absolutely. Well, thanks for being our guest. Thanks for lining it up and coming and telling us a little bit about Campless, your background, and this. You know, I actually I have to tell you this story. I went to the Sneaker Social at Gillette Stadium in Foxborough back in the month of April, and I actually picked up the Campless brochure. And I was like, what is this thing? And actually, I have it in my bag right outside. And I was like, I flipped it, you know, quick and simple. And I was like, a brochure on the pricing of sneakers. I was like, talk about fucking brilliant. You know, I mean, that's the only way to put it. So let's just jump right into it. Let's, you know, talk about yourself. You know, what kind of gave you this idea? I mean, I know a little bit about, you know, I read a little bit about Campless, how it came about from your website, but there's no better way to tell it than from you directly. Like, where did it come from? Why you?
Yeah, cool. Thank you. And yeah, there's been a few of those floating around at different shows. Those sort of mini price guides that we put out in paper format. But so my day job, I do campus on the side, right? So my day job is I work for IBM, and I am a strategy consultant for IBM. But for all my life before that, right, I've been an entrepreneur. I've started and run several startups. And I've always been looking for a sneaker-related business that wasn't just an excuse to play with sneakers, right? That there had to be some real sort of business there. I've collected sneakers all my life, and personal passion like anyone else here. And I almost intentionally didn't look for sneaker businesses because I felt almost too biased, right? That I didn't bias myself and do something that may not be a good business. So anyway, long story short is I get to work at IBM. And I went, in my first 6 months, I went from, I thought I knew a lot about data to, I'm an expert, right? You have to catch up. So I'm doing all this data work, I'm working as a consultant, and I'm thinking, I bet there's a lot of data out there on sneakers. I wonder what I can find, right? I wonder what's out there just to play with for my own amusement, just to see. So clearly the biggest place for any resale data or any resell sneakers is eBay, right? I mean, more transactions happen there than anywhere else. So we started there. We found out, as many people know, that eBay has an open API that you can get access to their auctions. You see an eBay auction on someone else's site, which we see all the time on all sorts of sneaker sites, right? That's a product of that functionality that eBay puts out, right? eBay wants that. They want to see their auctions all over the internet, and we're buying sneakers from every different auction, right?
Okay.
So because of that, there's an opening that we can pull down eBay auction. And so I am not a technical person at all, but I recruited a partner of mine from a previous startup who's the technical side, and he helped me start pulling down eBay data. We started collecting the data in May of 2012, and just started playing with it, right? Seeing what could we do with it. Last year, right, during 2013, is when we started to figure out that there was something here, that we had enough data, could do enough things to create a price guide, to create insights into how many pairs are on the market, etc. And we were trying to build a site, right? But we're doing it on the side. Everyone's working on the side. People have full-time jobs. And building the site was lagging. So in August of 2013, I just started blogging about it. Right, I just started doing random analysis, random pricing, and just writing about it. And in December, it got picked up by a couple people on Twitter who have big followings on Twitter in the sneaker world, and slowly but surely started to get a little bit of a following. We've recruited more people to work with us. Right now there's 10 people that work on Campless. Everybody part-time, everybody on the side. We all just do it because we either like sneakers or we like data, and having fun with it, right? So we finally released the website. Some of you guys may have seen it, right? So about a month ago we opened it up public. On the site there's fundamentally two different things. There's what we'll call a price guide, but there's a lot more to it, but it's basically the data about sneakers. We rank sneakers by price, by volume, by volatility. There's about 7 or 8 different pricing, different data points that we use. And then there's the blog, right? And we continue to write articles and do independent analysis, come up with hypotheses. For example, a real popular one we did recently was, are the price of Jordans too expensive, right?
Right.
Compared to inflation, right? Because that's the key, right? Is, the price goes up, sure, but is it any more expensive than it was 5 years ago, or 10 or 20? And guess what? It's not. I mean, Nike's and Jordan Brand have been raising prices lockstep with inflation for 20 years. For 20 years in price. And at no point were Jordans ever more expensive than they were when they first came out. 85 through 90, 91.
They're the same price?
No, well, they're not the same retail
for
price.
the dollar.
But
right. So, a fairly simple analysis on our end, right? Basically, just taking inflation and comparing it to the retail price at different times is some pretty interesting stuff, right? People complain all the time about rising prices, but you know what? It's the same. So that's the sort of stuff that you see on the blog, right? Random analysis like that. We did the top 50 eBay sellers and who's got the most expensive prices, who's got the least expensive. We did one last week on how many sneakers are sold on eBay in the past 12 months and predicted how many will be sold in the next 12 months. So there's literally an infinite number of things you can do once you have as much data as we have. And at this point, we're trying to figure out sort of where to go next. We have the website, we released the mobile app, so there's a mobile app out there that people can get our price guide, the data, and our blog on their phone. It's only iOS now. We're working on Android. But that's sort of where we're at. Sorry, I'm rambling a little bit.
No, you're good. You're good. It's all good. So you grew up being into sneakers. Correct me if I'm wrong. You've always just appreciated leather, rubber, runners, trainer. I mean, let's talk. I mean, just real quickly, what's behind you? Is that just a smidget of your kind of quiver back there?
I have a relatively small collection for many of the people that we all know, right? But that's more or less my whole collection. I pulled out a couple pairs. I figured that you were going to ask me either where I came from or where I'm at with sneakers. I figure I'll start with this one, right? This is the shoe that I wore in high school playing basketball. She had a pair of 19-year-old. I think these are 21 years old.
Those Maestros?
The Maestros. And these are, I think, the oldest shoes that I still have.
Wow.
I was able to pick up the retro in like 05, 06.
Nice.
Right?
Okay.
So I would say, I played basketball all my life. So that's, anyone who plays ball eventually, either has to or invariably ends up, wearing sneakers and loving shoes. And so usually off the court I wear low tops because I'm used to wearing high tops on the court all the time. So, I wear a lot of Air Max, stuff like that, Nike Tennis, stuff like that. So.
Okay. So this idea, this Campless idea, it came to you. The name though, like give the backstory. The name Campless. I mean, Campless, do more. Information with knowledge comes, information and power.
I mean, that's the idea, right? But I'll tell you what, it started at this, was we knew we were doing this, right? We sneakers and data, and there was one rule, right? It is not going to have the word shoe or sole or kick or any of that in it, because how many, sites and everything else that is out there that, it gets lost, right? So we were either going to make a brand name for ourselves or we wouldn't, but, it wasn't going to be, anything with those words. So then it was just a function of, thinking about things that are relevant, and, it sort of made sense, right? We're providing information, we're providing knowledge, so no more, camp less. That's the idea.
Okay. I like it. So what, as your friends and you came up with this, this code, how long did it take you to actually write it and start pulling and kind of culling all of this information?
Yeah, it's the most relevant question to all of this. So pulling in the eBay data is not hard, right? I mean, I say this, I can't do it, right? I'm not a developer, but it's out there. They have an open API, and you can get up to a couple days of data at a time. And so since we've been doing it for 2 years, I think we just crossed 11 million auctions in our database. But
wow.
Right, and the work, to your point, right, is being able to identify what sneakers actually being sold in each of those auctions, right? Because as you guys all know, on eBay, you got a lot of noise, right? There's a lot of keywords in all auctions. So it could be a pair of Jordan 6 Carmines, but it'll say Jordan 6 Carmine, Yeezy Foam, Shaq, Kobe, LeBron, and 90 things in the title, right?
Yep.
So that makes it a little bit difficult to figure out what is actually being sold. And so to your question, we spend, and really me, I sort of use the we royally, but I spend more time writing queries to identify the sneakers than anything else by far. and we track right now about 1,000. We're just under 1,000 sneakers, and each of those sneakers takes anywhere from 2 to 4 hours per sneaker to be able to write a query to be able to identify the sneaker that's being sold, right? And so that's a big part of the data, and frankly, it's a big reason why this is hard to do, right? There are other sites that have tried to do this, and if you use the eBay standard search or any sort of standard search, you got to deal with all that noise and try to figure it out. Not that people can't do what we do, but it's certainly the really time-consuming and hard part, and we spent a lot of time building a methodology to be able to do that well, because frankly, if the numbers aren't right, you know, if the data's not good, then sort of what's the point?
Absolutely. So as you know, as people go through and are able to look at the pricing guide and figure out what a pair of sneakers is worth, do you find like people are either contacting you or hitting you on social media saying, "Oh, I think you either have this information correct, or I think this pricing guide is incorrect"? What have you been hearing as of lately? Because again, you've been at this now. You said 2 years, so
yeah,
like, you do have a great. I'm sure you have a great database.
Yeah, for sure. You know, we've been doing it for 2 years. For about the last 6 months is where, you know, we've really had a big social presence and talking to a lot of people. And your question and comment is dead on, right? A lot of people are like, you know, this price is bullshit. It's way too high, or it's way too low, or whatever. And if, you know, inherently I know, right, and we all know, right, if I put a pair of Jordan 6 Carmine 2014s up and said the average price was $600, you know, everyone on here could say, you know, that's bullshit, right? But if I said they were $265, you know, who's going to say, no, they're really $255, right? So if someone calls us out on a price and they don't think it's right, and it could be, you know, we'll go and look at by hand the auctions, right? I mean, obviously, you know, we automate. We don't look through 11 million auctions by hand, but I'll go back and check them. And when we first started doing this, we would check like every single one. We wanted to make sure. And what we were finding was, on the whole, people think our prices are too low, right? They say, no, I can't find prices that cheap. You know, there's no way that's an average price of, you know, $310. I see there are 400 everywhere. And what we found was that they really are. And I wrote a post, you know, about maybe 2 or 3 months ago titled something like, eBay prices are a lot lower than you think. And what we found is, and it makes total sense logically, right?
Yeah, I've seen that.
Right. So the good deals disappear quickly, right? If there's a good deal on eBay, they're going to get snatched up like that and bought. So when we go to eBay, any of us, you know, we go to eBay, what we usually see are the ones that have been sitting there for a long time that no one wants to buy because they're either overpriced or, you know, they're a little high. So it gives us the perception that all prices are this high. This was, frankly, maybe the hardest analysis we did, because we really wanted to figure out, you know, the answer, you know, how much is perception greater than reality, and we even were able to quantify it. But this goes back to your question, right? So people, you know, have called us out, and it's caused us to do, thankfully, some really cool work and really figure it out and answer some other questions about the market, about, you know, the way that auctions and pricing work. So we encourage it, right? If you see other things, whether not even price, but any part of it, and this is for everyone, right? Call us out. Say this doesn't make sense. We're happy to explain the methodology. Personally, I feel like the openness of what we do is 100% required to be a data company, right? You have to be open and transparent about the numbers. Otherwise, you know, I'm just putting a number on the screen and you can either believe me or not. You know, to us, that doesn't make sense, right? You got to understand what we're doing. So we'll answer all questions. There's no secrets, and we're happy to do more research if you know, we think that there's a problem.
Okay. What was the pair of sneakers, you know, besides the Jordan, you know, the Carmine 6s? Was there something else, Yeezys, or something else that people were like, hey, I can't find this particular pair of sneakers for this dollar amount? So anything come up to mind?
Yeah. So well, there's two sort of categories, right? One is, you know, retro Jordans more than a couple years old, right? So not, you know, any one particular pair, but, you know, someone who's maybe, you know, trying to cop, say, like Bordeaux 7s, you know, somewhere in that range where there's enough on the market, but it's just at the point where resellers are starting to gouge because, oh, look, there's no other size 10s on eBay, so I'm going to ask, $50, $75, $100 more than maybe people were asking 6 months to a year ago. And, we all sort of see that sort of inherently in the market, right? As, you see on eBay a shoe that, shit, I should have bought that 6 months ago, KD4 Galaxies, Kobe 6 Grinches, those things all jumped real quick as soon as scarcity hit. And so that's usually the type of shoe that we get called out a lot, is because our average prices are based on 12 months of data. And sometimes within that 12 months, the price changes a lot. And so we've started to put monthly data out there too, so you can see how it moves over time. Because to your point, right, Yeezys are another example. They've been increasing so much so quickly that 12 months of data, frankly, the price you could get a pair of Solars for 12 months ago is a lot less than they are now, right? So that's usually the type of sneaker that people ask a lot about.
Okay. What's something you've learned throughout this whole process of working with your team, writing a blog post? What's something you've learned that you didn't know, say, a year to even 2 years ago? Now you're kind of delving even deeper.
So honestly, we all have been just very pleasantly shocked with how many people are really intellectually curious to go beyond just the price and the volume, who want to discuss the methodology and the regressions and the queries and all the stuff that we do. And we have put out there that we're always looking for volunteers, web developer, mobile developer, data analysts, and I've gotten so many people, particularly on the data side, that have stood up and be like, I want to help. I'll do anything you need, and some people have been great and we've made them full-on members of the team. Other people, they see the amount of work and they're like, no thanks, no problem, right? But how many people have volunteered we've been floored, right? And so it's been great. It's been great that there are this many people that have this sort of interest in it, beyond just the pricing.
Okay. All right. Well, Josh, I want to throw it out to the soul doctors. I know they've been more than patient, more than quiet, but I want to toss it out to them to ask some questions. And I hope you don't mind. You continue to hang out with us and bring, as you say, bring them on, right? Bring them on.
Yeah, great. It's awesome.
So doctors, who wants to go first?
I have a question.
All right.
How you doing? I'm on your site and I see something I found very interesting. I want to know if you could break it down for me. Sneaker ranking, sneakerhead significance. Explain that.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. So if you go to our site, we rank all sneakers by 7 different data points, right? And 6 of them are exactly what you would think: price, volume, volatility, etc. And those are based 100% on eBay, and you could call them as close to a fact as there is. The other one, right, which is called Sneakerhead Significance, and we rank it by Campless score, is totally made up by us, right?
Oh, okay.
Right, but it's based in data. So in my mind, I think significance is subjective, right? What's significant to you is not going to be the same thing that's significant to me. Right? But what we did, we said, you know what, we're a data company and we have all this data, so maybe there's a single stat. And so sneakerhead significance is a combination of every other data point that we have, and we weight them, so price and volume are very heavily weighted, saying that people are spending a lot for these and there's a lot of pairs on the market. And we came up with a ranking. We did not manipulate it at all. It's based on data. And the fact that the Red Octobers came out 1 says that we're at least in the ballpark with something, right? They're sneakers that people talk about all the time and that are out there. People all the time, that is what people all the time will say, this is bullshit. M&M 4s are way more significant than, they're like last. And I'm
but I like it because I'm looking at it as you were talking. As soon as Alan asked that question, I started to scroll down, and we talk about it all the time on this show. That term, sneakerhead, I have a hard time arguing with anything on that chart based on that online retail market and subculture of who's on the chase and who's on the supposed hunt. This is literally almost like a wanted list at the FBI.
Yeah, exactly. That it's pretty cool because it's based on eBay data, right? And so that makes sense. So yeah, so that's what Campless Score is and Sneakerhead Significance. It's sort of just a fun thing, you know, to play around with.
Okay.
So the sneakers that are chosen. All right, I'm on Air Max. So I'm looking at sneaker ratings by Sneakerhead Significance, and I click Air Max, and I think there's 29 pairs. Hold on. Let me go back.
I think we lost your audio.
Oh, audio gone?
Yep. No, now you're back. There you go.
Okay.
There you go.
How did you choose the 29 Air Max? That's under that category for sneaker rankings. 29 pairs here.
Yeah. So you know, as I mentioned before, the hardest thing is adding a sneaker to our database because it takes a lot of time to write a query and add it. So we track about 1,000, a little less. We continue to add more every day, and we try to add ones that have a lot of volume, right? That people are buying and that people are interested in. There's also a handful on there just because I own them, right? Because I like them, you know, and they're going to be way down the list of Sneakerhead Significance because, you know, not a lot of other people, you know, buy them or wear them. But for the most part, we try to keep up with, you know, the big releases, you know, sneakers that are expensive, etc. And we're always adding more. So, you know, the next time we release data, which will be in a couple weeks, we'll have a lot more LeBron 11s, a lot more Kobe 9s, a lot more KD 6s. You know, so keep up with what's on the market.
Can I make a suggestion for Air Max?
Yeah, please.
Anything Powerwall, History of Air, because that was a big significance for Air Max.
Yep, that's true.
Yeah. All right, that's it. That was mine.
Doctors, come on. Who else has a question for Josh?
It's not so much a question, yeah, because we always run into this. You guys do such a good job, you know, both yourself and Paper, doing the interviews and getting the data. And Josh was more than, you know, forthcoming with the info. Mine is just more an observation, a few things. I love that it's an arguable stat. It doesn't have to be a fact in somebody's mind, or like Josh said, it's data and it's open to interpretation, and someone can refute it, someone can take it, but they took the brave step forward of creating a metric. And until there is something to refute that metric in data, they're the fact. I love that about it. You know, that's a brave step to take. I'm sitting here watching it and going through it myself as we've been talking. And like I said, based on that sneakerhead significance, but then I can switch that metric. If I don't want to pay attention to the sneakerhead significance, I switch it to dead stock price. So then I'm going more off of, you know, I'm one of those few who have gone on eBay and found great prices from reputable sellers, because as a user, as a power user, I have my own metrics on how to shop. You know, I'm not shopping with anybody below a 99% rating. I usually shop with those who are or are affiliated with a store or a physical location that I know is getting stock. You know, I have a few things that I run through. And so seeing this, you know, I switched that, okay? So I'm off the sneakerhead significance. I want to see average dead stock price of Air Maxes or total sold, price volatility. I love that those are data points and metrics that are measurable. So kudos, man. Absolutely.
I appreciate it. Yep, that's awesome.
Professor Paper, you are here. You are here. What's the good word?
Greetings, Soul Doctors, Disorderlies. Josh, thanks for joining us, homie. I made it on right on time to catch your interview. And, you know, I guess like Ridiculous said, in hearing the passion for what you've created and seeing how well you've explained it, I mean, it's just only statements to make as far as, you know, like-minded people like us who decided to just take sneakers and put it in a realm of scope and possibility outside of the normal. How many J's do you have, and do you have Yeezys? And, you know, as a parent who has children who are into shoes to varying levels and degrees, but both are into shoes. Thinking about it from the reverse, as a kid who could take your site and show it to his parent and say, look, this is one of the different ways by which you can gauge the commerce of sneakers. You know, and what you've basically done is you've created something that pretty much it highlights the secondary economy of sneakers, because the primary economy, of course, is, you know, from the retailer to us, and then, you know, the secondary market. You've pretty much created a very clean, efficient, and, you know, just straight up, straightforward, easy way for a parent to see, hey, this is something by which you can gauge some of these sneakers that I've been asking you for, or that I want, or that I want to sell. And you can see, mom, dad, aunt, grandparent, that this is a little better for me than slinging drugs. I'm good right now. You know?
Yeah. We actually, so we wrote a post a little while ago called "Are drugs more like, or are sneakers more like stocks or drugs?" Right? And sort of did that analogy. The answer is that the data is more like stocks, but the people act more like drugs. So
Yeah.
It's true. I mean,
it is
you know,
true.
we here at OSD, we very much believe in the business of sneakers more so than anything.
yeah, I know.
Which is why we've been able to continue to have the lane that we have. With listening to you and the amount of work that you've done, and still you have more, considering the amount of, you know, different shoes that you want to add, and considering there's 4 or 5 to sometimes 8 or 9 different shoes from various brands that come out, you know, in the course of 2 to 3 weeks, you know, your job is never done.
That's right.
And that's an incredible feat right there. To be able to take on that undertaking, be willing to take on that undertaking. So I mean, again, you know, props to you, to your staff, to the people who've decided to join you and help you and believe in what you've got. I guess my hardest question for you, and I say this in jest because I don't have any other real question, is why are you wearing that hot-ass black hat in the house?
You know, when he was talking earlier about how hot he was after basketball, I knew I was going to get that. In my basement, it is so cold down here that I was almost wearing a jacket. It's the rooms do not align. It's hot in my. It's just freezing down here. So yeah.
Where are you? Where are you based?
The icebox, son.
What city you in?
I'm in Philly.
Oh, so you're not that far away. It's hot as hell for you too.
It's hot as shit, man. Outside it was hot, but in my basement it's freezing.
It's gonna keep those sneakers right. Don't worry.
Yeah.
That's true.
The icebox.
But seriously, yeah. I mean, you know, I'll pass it to one of the other soul doctors. I'm sure they have something somewhere. But you know, as Ridiculous said, you laid everything out so passionate and easily for us to understand, and for people who are watching around the world to understand that. I mean, other than this, it's just like, yo, go to the site. You know?
Yeah, I mean, really, that's the thing, is the site is so thorough. I think the one thing I would like to see, because we talk about it so much, and I think it does have significance, maybe not in a sneakerhead sense, but we often on OSD highlight technology, and we talk a lot about technology, and that would probably be an easy data set for you to get, because that can coincide directly with seasonal and with, you know, when we're talking about running season, trainers, we're talking about football season. You know, you can probably quite easily get that data to punch into your site so that someone can see, okay, Boost took off in the spring, it was slow in the winter, because I think that would lend an even more, it would lend an air of even more credibility.
Ridiculous? I love you. Ridiculous? I love you. Shut up and let's talk to Josh behind the scenes. Because we already have my mind open. Shut up.
Got it. Got it. I got the hook.
Expect that one to happen behind the scenes, Josh. We got plans for you.
All right. We're good. Hey, look, to that point, and really any others around, sort of what people don't see on there is we are absolutely limited by, you know, by time and manpower, right? I mean, what people see on the site is like tip of the iceberg. There's so much stuff I want to do. I want to be able to put out there. You know, the next thing that people will see as a public data point is going to be a few different indices, you know, sort of track the market index. You know, so up at the top, there's a whole lot of space that's for that counter. That'll go away. It'll be small, and we'll have one that'll track like the average price of Jordans, one that'll track, you know, the size of the market, you know, stuff like that. That it's just there, it's just a function of, you know, prioritizing amongst other things that we're doing, you know, to put it out there because, you know, but yeah, I mean, that right there, and it's fun, right? I mean, it's just fun to do it, you know, and I love being able to find a new data point or a new analysis and put it out there, and so, you know, that's really why we keep doing it.
Oh, you're gonna love what we got for you.
Are you self-funded, Josh?
Yeah, man. Absolutely. There's all out of our pocket. No one. There's nothing.
Respect, bro. I believe me. We talked about it before. We, you know, Paper's very familiar with what I do, and starting kind of sure. The app that and because you mentioned that you guys are on iOS and looking to go into Android, and so I just wanted to ask that question to put it out there so people understand that this is professional. It's out there. It's data. It's functional. But you are doing this out of passion and your own pocket. So respect due.
Thanks, man.
All data. Yes, sir.
Josh, I've been scrolling through the website, and actually people can see on my screen, you know, the different, you know, areas. I mean, you guys, you've been able to break down not only, you know, stuff for like, you know, Jordan, Foamposite, KD, Kobe, but then when you start getting into other brands, I mean, again, like you said earlier, it's just the tip of the iceberg. I mean, you start talking about brands like Adidas, Asics, Converse. What is there a brand that you would like to add at some point in the near future, maybe in the next 3 to 4 months, that people aren't paying attention to, but maybe you're feeling because you like what you're seeing from them? Or, I mean,
well, I don't think there's any brand that's not on there that at least have 1 or 2 sneakers, right?
Okay.
You know, a big part of choosing what sneakers to go on there is there's got to at least be some sales out there, right? You know, a bunch of them,
That's a
like,
good point.
you know, the Disorderlies that we put on there, they're all the European releases because none sell in the States. But, you know, and so it's a part of that, right? I mean, in the other brand section, I'm sure the next release will have, you know, more of Ronnie's, right? The Asics that just came out, the Clarks will be added to it, right? So that's usually where you get into other brands where we see there's enough sales and enough people paying attention to it to put it on eBay that then we can, you know, put it on our site.
Okay.
This is awesome work, man.
That's just dope.
As you continue to expand and grow, you have people coming out of the woodworks, like you said, who want to volunteer. Some people are afraid of the work. Okay, they go by the wayside. But if someone wants to get in touch with you and says, hey Josh, I want to help. I want to work on Campless. This is something I'm passionate about. How can they get in contact with you? What's the best way?
Yeah, we make it really easy on everything that we put out there, whether it's Twitter or our site. You know, there's a million ways to do that, email addresses and suggestion boxes, but it's Josh at Campless. Anyone feel free to email me about anything, but, you know, on every one of our you know, things out there, there's where we make it really easy. We want to talk to people, you know.
Okay. Is there a particular demand, maybe besides, you know, data, you know, people that are willing to kind of crunch some of the numbers, but is there a demand, say if someone's good with graphics design or HTML or just writing?
Yeah, what is it that you would want to see people do for you?
Yeah, so not as much, you know, just writing, right? But there's 3 categories that you just point, right? It's data, it's design, and it's web development, right? Web development and the data are the 2 sort of big pieces, but then the design, we're always looking for new ways to share the data and to create different forms of data visualization, and we haven't really done a lot of that. I mean, even the blogs, all the charts you see in the blogs are just me using PowerPoint to make them. I mean, they could all be prettier, they could all be better. I'm just trying to make functional charts that people can understand the data. But I think that would be great if there was someone out there who's a specialist in data visualization that wanted to help do this, because we're all about making it prettier and easier for people to understand it.
Okay.
I've always liked the charts that you guys do on Instagram. It sucks that you guys couldn't get the Campless name, because it's being used by like a spam bot. And I remember seeing that a little while ago. But no, I like the it's almost like like an infographic, like a small infographic for like each individual sneaker.
Yeah. So what you're talking about, we do those just for Instagram because the charts that we make in our blogs and on site are really detailed and small, and
these are easy to digest. Yeah.
Yeah, and so it's just like a single snapshot of a sneaker, and it's a format we use just on Instagram, and that was created entirely by a guy who was one of our first fans who raised his hand and said, "Hey, I want to work with you guys." He came up with that idea. He runs our Instagram account now. Shout out, his name is Nico Atienza, anyone who knows him or if he's watching. But, that was all he said, I want to do.
And the Instagram is different than the Twitter and everything, so you'd want to tell him that.
Okay. So on Instagram, it is, correct me if I'm wrong, is it Campless or is it Sneakerhead Data?
No, it's Sneakerhead Data.
Okay.
We are trying very hard to get that Campless account, but it's some spam account that have one post they haven't been on in a year. Sucks.
One way to do that, we'll share it before we get out of here or behind the scenes. I'll pass along a tip on how to get your social media name back.
Awesome. That'd be great. We've been struggling on that one, but yeah. So for now, it's Sneakerhead Data on Instagram and Campless on Twitter.
Gotcha.
Josh, I got a question for you in regards to particular models.
Yep.
Which sneaker gave you the most fits in trying to incorporate into this?
Yeah. So the high level answer is retro re-releases of Jordans are by far the hardest, right? Because we got to figure out, what year is this, and so recently, the hardest one was the Carmine 6, last month, because I had to change, the OG Carmine. I had to change the CDP. I had to change any that had any sort of red in it. I mean, I ended up changing probably 20 different queries just for that one. So in general, it's a pain in the ass whenever there's a re-release of an old, particularly an OG model. It's fucking hard. So.
now, in part two to that question, is it harder the more often that particular Jordan retro has released? Does it make it harder?
Yeah. Okay. I mean, the more different models, right? The more you got to deal with it. The infrared 6s. Because there's a white and there's a black. In 2010, there was the infrared pack, but then there was the white-red,
Right.
That's a big headache, too. So, yeah, man.
Got you. It's incredible work, man.
Thanks.
I got a question, man. Hello, can you hear me?
We got you, brother. Go ahead.
Yeah, it's Anita Heat, man, from the A-Town. 2 questions. One, the big sizes, do you have any data on that as far as how hard it is to get those? Because the biggest problem we have, I wear 15, 16, but I speak for 14 as well. The main thing for us is always trying to figure out if they even made it. And, some of the brands are really slow on getting to us about that. Do you have any way of finding out that type of data? And also, when are you coming out with the Android app?
Yeah. So I'll give you the short answer one first. I don't have a date on Android, but we are, it's in progress, and so hopefully a couple weeks, maybe a month, we'll see. But yeah, that's top of our priority is to get that out. Regarding the big sizes, it's funny that you sort of asked this in a public forum too, because a lot of people have been asking this sort of behind the scenes. We did a post not too long ago, actually a couple months ago, that basically said, do the price of sneakers vary by size? And, we did this analysis and said, what's the average price, in different sizes? And what we found is it varies a little bit, but not too much. It's about like anywhere from like 4 to 6%, depending what size, right? But I didn't put on there sizes above 14 because there was just so little data. There were so few pairs out there. So one is I should just put the data points out there anyway so people can see it. And, for your specific question, we have no way to know, what's released. We don't have any knowledge about release, but we could definitely segment out which sneakers have large sizes, right, which are out there. So I think that's a good idea because other people have asked me that too.
Yeah, I mean, I'm part of a couple of different groups. We're all Bigfooters. We call it, Team Bigfooters, all kind of Bigfooters or whatever. And unfortunately, and D can speak to this. There's a lot more people there are a lot of people who wear bigger sizes that are collecting way more so than 10 years ago. Like 10 years ago, it wasn't a problem at all for me to get big sizes. And 10 years ago, I was wearing 14, 15. But now there's a lot more people who wear bigger sizes. On top of that, sneakerheads are not stupid, so they understand that there are only a certain amount of pairs in 14 or 15 or even 16, 17, and 18. So, you get a lot of the little assholes, the little shits like to go get that size and then try to resell it to you. So, that's the reason why I was asking, because I've pretty much stopped even trying to get releases. I'm to the point now where I just rather, get something that's GR or just ID something, whether it be from, Adidas or New Balance or Nike or whatever. But it's a lot easier than going through that. But, I bring it up because everybody on here knows, I'm still a little salty about my 12s. I still, I've been waiting on 12s to come out for years, the original colorway, and, I couldn't find any pairs. I had 2 pairs and that I had a beat on, and of course, they got away from me through some bullshit. But that's the reason. That's the main reason why I asked. And, that, and for like I said, for most of the Bigfooters, because we do go through a hell of a struggle trying to figure out how many pairs out there, if they made them. Like I know the constant thing they're talking about now. A lot of Bigfooters are talking about now are the Jordan Futures. You got a lot of people that like them, but we're not sure if they even made 15s in them. You know what I'm saying? So, but I definitely want to get with you behind the scenes. I think that's you definitely have a market for that.
Yeah, man. That's a good idea. Absolutely.
Well, Josh, we appreciate you joining us on episode 309. I mean, this is not only educational, but more importantly, people can go to the website, which is beta.campless.com, and actually peruse and actually go through all the different sneakers and even search, looking for a particular pair of sneakers. I love how the website is certainly set up. So
website is crazy.
Yeah, and and you can just go to campless.com. It redirects to a beta. We're still tweaking with some formatting, so it's technically in beta, but you can go to campless.com.
Okay.
Campless.com. All right.
I mean, it's you know what? You really could spend hours on this website. Like it's almost overwhelming in a sense. You know what I'm saying? Just all the data that you have. I love it. I mean, it's great. It's almost like it reminds me of the fantasy football version for sneakers. You know what I'm saying? It's like fantasy sneakers almost. You know what I'm saying?
You can sell this data. That's crazy.
I'm not promising anything because there's a lot of things higher in its priority, but we've actually toyed around the idea with like a fantasy sneaker league sort of thing.
Yeah. I see that. I see
the priority list. It ain't happening soon, but
if you get into fantasy football at all,
right?
That's all fantasy football is about. It's about watching it, and watching it is the fun part. But the people who really get into it, it's all about the data. You know what I mean? It's like, okay, what are they doing on first down? You know what I mean? Like how many touchdowns? It's some geeky type shit, but I love it. You know what I mean? So
IDs is our virtual GM.
Right.
Listen, I have been on trips with this man where he has been on his phone like a real GM in the
I've seen it.
I'm the same way. I'm the same way when it comes to fantasy football. And it's funny because even to a lesser extent, with the basketball season, with everything going on right now with the LeBron debacle and everybody trying to figure out what they're going to do with the salary cap, and it reminds me a lot of that. You know what I mean? So.
Yeah. Well, Josh, we appreciate you being on the show, being our guest.
Word up,
More
Josh.
importantly,
Incredible work, man.
telling the story behind Campless. So, you always we have an open door policy. So every Wednesday, you want to pop on, you want to drop, give us an update, or more importantly, you just want to tune in as a sneaker lover, a disorderly, and just someone that says, what the hell are these people talking about tonight? Know that you can come back and rock with us, and then certainly spread the word about Campless as a whole. Thank you, man. You don't have to leave. You can hang out. We're going to talk actually a little bit of footwear stocks because Mr. Paper Chaser himself, needs to cover OSD Invest because the market is volatile. The FIFA World Cup is taking place, and companies that took a beating just yesterday have hit somewhat of a rebound, particularly, though, the Swoosh, who's been battling Adidas in Brazil and beyond.
Yep.
They had a big day, Pete. I mean, like...
That's correct.
Big day.
Here we have the OSD Daily Stock Report, broadcast live, particularly on Wednesdays. So today's results, Soul Doctors, Disorderlies, people watching, we got a lot of positive results for the footwear stocks that we watched today. So Nike finished at $76.21 per share, up $1.12. Skechers finished at $45.98, up 50 cents per share. VF Corporation, Vanity Fair, parent company for Timberlands, North Face, Vans, etc., finished at $62.36 per share. That was a mouthful. Of 52 cents per. Under Armour finished at $59.65, of 6 cents per share. Deckers Outdoor, believe it or not, as hot as it is, I still see people wearing Uggs, y'all. Deckers finished at $81.07 per share, of 26 cents per. Foot Locker Incorporated finished at $49.98 per share, of 66 cents per share. Adidas AG, the soccer warrior against the behemoth Nike, finished at $52.75 per share on the OTC market, of 3 cents per share today. Puma AG on the ETR market finished at 209.50 euros, of 95 cents per. eBay finished at $49.66 per share, up 60 cents per on the day. And the only stock that was down today, which ironically last week was one of the only stocks that was up on Wednesday, Finish Line finished at $29.53 per share, down 23 cents per share on the day. So once again, you can catch this and these stocks that we report on every day on Google+, Facebook in the OSD group, and on Twitter. The only ones on the internet to give you a stock watch. Hashtag OSD Invest. So it's the OSD Invest report. These are the stocks to watch. Watch out for them tomorrow. They'll be there. And hopefully, like Josh, eventually one day we'll finally figure out the Instagram thing so that we can get this report posted on Instagram daily as well. So those are the results on the day, y'all. A whole lot of positive.
Absolutely. Movement, money. I want to know, and we did talk about this on previous episode 307, and then again, we touched on it briefly on episode 308.
Yep.
About the prices of Jordans, about the materials, and the retro market. And Finish Line, who does carry a number of Jordans, and they have an account, and their stores are actually pretty. You can walk into a Finish Line, you will see a lot of the Jumpman in there, and shout out to Michael Jordan being deemed a billionaire because of his stake in the Hornets. I was about to say the Charlotte Bobcats, but now they're going back to the good old Hornets. Yep. With the retro uniforms to boot. Is Finish Line, are they prepared for this? I mean, do they have enough doors? Do they have enough are they willing to go down and fight against Foot Locker? Can they compete? Is that going to be a competition that they're going to be on the losing end, a la Spain, or are they going to come out victorious, a la the Netherlands?
I don't even think it's their retail established doors, as you mentioned. I think it's more going to be a question of the web footprint and the fact that Foot Locker is in cahoots and connections with eBay, Champs, and others.
Okay.
Well, Champs is Foot Locker. Champs.
But no, that's what I'm saying. It's not Finish Line though. And so if you're talking Finish Line going heads up with Foot Locker, you remember that scene in Jurassic Park where he was like, "Clever girl," because he got attacked from the blind side? That's Foot Locker. Foot Locker has other touch points. And so going heads up isn't really even a fair question if you're just talking doors and website, because that can be shifted to Foot Locker's other holdings.
It's not even possible for them to go head up. I don't think. I think Finish Line is bad. It's really just holding on, and they're just trying to maintain where they are at this point, because Foot Locker has just grabbed everything. You know what I'm saying? Like they're almost trying to monopolize the whole shit. You know what I mean? Like it's almost getting a little out of hand with the way they're doing things. I think and I'm not sure about downtown locker room. I'm curious. Can Finish? I think that might be like one of their main things they might need to do is try to acquire DCLR, and maybe try to strengthen their brand a little bit. But it's going to be
That's
very
a
tough.
great idea. I never even thought of that.
That is interesting, Heat, because if Finish Line were to make a play, and we would have to probably go to look at their balance sheet, look to see how much cash they have on hand. That is an interesting point. Could they afford to buy downtown locker room in all their, various, locations, particularly, downtown locker room? We know where they're located in the urban areas,
as well as the
seaboard
mainly.
In some major cities, particularly though on the northeast coast,
right,
or on the east coast for that matter. So that's a great point. That's a
I know for a while Finish Line was they were just trying to beat off Foot Locker, because Foot Locker, when they a couple years ago when they started acquiring all these different competitors that they had, Finish Line, I remember in particular, talking to a couple of people when I was actually with Finish Line. Finish Line was going out of their way trying not to get acquired, because that was one of their Foot Locker's main targets when they started acquiring a lot of these businesses, and then they couldn't get it done, so they went on and went to acquire a lot of these other companies or whatever. But they've been in Finish Line has been in Foot Locker's crosshairs for a while.
For a while now.
Well, the irony is, like you said, they were trying to acquire Finish Line. Finish Line held them off, so they went and acquired everything else.
Right.
Basically trying to choke off the supply. But the interesting thing about Finish Line that we brought up on the show before is the fact of not so much the heads up business front end, but the back end and how they control it. They're still one of the few, if not now the only, that purchases their stock and owns it for their warehouse, versus how Foot Locker does it.
Right.
And so that's also something that keeps them at a certain level and not being able to really heads up compete with Foot Locker, is that they're working off of a balance sheet that has already spent down into the red, and now they're trying to get their money back.
Exactly. And that's what makes it so difficult for them. You know what I mean? And for them trying to compete with a Foot Locker. You know what I'm saying? I mean, to be perfectly honest, what is this, 2014? When I was like heavy into the retail, I want to applaud Finish Line for even still being here and where they are, because if you would have asked me 10 years ago, I would have been like, oh yeah, they're definitely going to get acquired by 2010.
Wow.
Okay. Because it's near impossible.
Foot Locker would have got them. You know what I mean? Like, so I applaud them for beating them off and holding on. How much longer can they do it? That remains to be seen, but Foot Locker is on a mission to take over everything. It's funny because Foot Locker, I almost liken them to Complex. You know, you know how Complex went on their spending spree,
Yeah.
right? They started like, you know what? We ought to let's acquire this. You know what I mean? So they started getting everybody on their team.
They
Hey,
were they were being the Pac-Mans, yeah. You know, with the power
Exactly.
Well,
pellets.
yeah.
Absolutely.
Well,
Exactly.
because they got hungry because their main outlet was starting to fail. The over the counter Barnes and Noble newsstand type of sales
Right.
were starting to dwindle. So they needed to feed the monster. So they went and started to acquire data outlets that did what they did paperlessly.
Well, one thing that I commend Foot Locker on, and I think it's something that Finish Line they should have done a while back. Foot Locker started reinventing themselves. You know, if you noticed, at first we were kind of on them with the House of Hoops thing. Now you got House of Hoops everywhere. You know what I mean? But you have a lot of people who are naive and don't really know the retail side like we do. So, you know I talk to a lot of people, a lot of my friends that I grew up with who have kids who are, hey, my son wants this shoe, this and that, blah, blah. You know, this House of Hoops place, this new store, House of Hoops, they have everything, you know, and they really think it's a new store. They don't realize that's Foot Locker. You know what I mean?
Right.
Until they go to some of them that are, you know, they have a Foot Locker right next door and they have a House of Hoops and they put two and two together. But you'd be surprised. A lot of people feel like, you know, the same thing they're doing with that. What's that store up in I think it's New Jersey. They reinventing the what is it? The kids store.
the women, Foot Locker, they redid, they have like tiers now for their
Isn't it
stores.
called Yard Line or something like that?
The Yard Line is a Champs product, which focuses more on like NFL product. Like they have their very
It's the,
heavy
I forget the
NFL.
name of it, but their new push is they're trying to reinvent all the kids Foot Locker stores, and I forget
Right.
what they're naming them.
Well,
I'm gonna look that up. I'm gonna find
no
that out. I
problem.
have that
Why
information.
you look that up? Right on the, as we're talking about, acquisitions and stores and stuff like that. Earlier this week, I think actually the story hit on Monday that a teenager and his father opened the world's first sneaker pawn shop.
In Harlem, yeah, that's right.
And some people are saying, well, okay, yeah, forget stocks. Sneaker futures are making Wall Street look like a swap meet.
I'm so upset with this because I thought I had this conversation with my father about 10 years ago. Like, we actually talked about it. He was like, why don't you just do a pawn shop? Like, you motherfuckers always buying and reselling them shits like, sound like a damn pawn shop to me.
So,
his thing was he didn't believe in having a storefront. He felt like, hell, what you need a storefront for? You got to do an online store. That was
online.
my point.
Okay. Well, here we have, again, because of of a demand, or more so, he wanted to borrow money from his father to buy a particular pair of sneakers, and his father, the young man's name, he's 16 years old. He's jumping on a trend. We all know this, and basically saying, okay, young adults want to look good, to walk good, want to have the latest technology, and a big part of that is their footwear, their sneakers, their kicks. So out of a demand of him needing to borrow $50 from his father to buy a particular pair of sneakers, they came up with the brilliant idea of opening a pawn shop. A pawn shop. Using sneakers as the collateral.
That's brilliant.
This is 2014.
That's
This lets us
brilliant.
know. Again, talk about entrepreneurship.
I'm
Grabbing
so
the.
torn on this.
You're torn. Okay, talk about it, Pape.
I have to give the flip side of this only because we're OSD, and it wouldn't be right for us to not just give our viewers the full scope of what is happening here.
Right. Okay.
I want to be very clear when I say this. Very, very clear, because I don't want everybody to hit me on social media later and email, text, whatever, have an issue with me. This is a great idea for where we are and what sneakers mean to people in New York City.
Okay.
It's not original. If you go to pawn shops in every other state, like Ridiculous, where he is, Compton, Watts, Texas, even down in the A, there's a sneaker section already in pawn shops. There's a sportswear section already in pawn shops.
Okay, I see where you're going.
So it already exists.
And to a smaller extent, you have Plato's Closet. I know a lot of people get it in.
Plato's Closet. Yeah.
We had him on the show.
Yeah.
So, like I said, I don't want to sound like I'm not appreciative of what this young man and his father did, because I am, because of it having a specific audience that they're catering to in the sneaker capital of the world, which no dispute in New York is the sneaker capital of the world. So it's great that he found the right place to do this, and hopefully it takes off based on the amount of things people need money for here in New York City, God tell you. But the idea is not original. So I just wanted to clarify that part, because if you go to other states, you know, I was surprised to see, I mean, Chumley from Pawn Stars, one of the reasons he got famous was because of an episode where dude brought in some Jordans. And that's when people realized he was a sneakerhead. And then since then, he's been in Nice Kicks and he's been everywhere else. Because that's when people realize, oh shit, hey, they got shoes there too. These guys know shoes.
But I think, to your point, Pape, I think what upset you was the whole world's first sneaker pawn shop. You know what I mean? Like,
No, I'm not upset about it at all. All I'm saying is, because technically it is. Like I said, he opened it in the right place for him to do this, where it's exclusively sneakers that you're trying to pawn. Because in New York, there's pawn shops for everything all over the place, including sneakers. And so for this to be just sneakers, that aspect of it is original. But sneakers in pawn shops is nowhere near original.
Well, let me say this, coming from just a family standpoint. I love it, because so often you have, you know, we had a young man down here that got killed. You know, we talked about that in the show. They got killed on, you know, trying to trade shoes and all that.
Yep.
I like the fact that this actually got some pub, because this is a positive thing, especially coming off the heels of Father's Day. You know, a lot of fathers get a bad rap for not, you know, doing what, you know, they're supposed to do. And I love the fact that this father kind of honed in on his son and what he wanted to do, and they got together with him and made it happen. So this, I think, if anything, you know, they need to be commended on doing something positive and getting covered for it. You know, I commend the New York Post for even, you know, doing this article, because so often we don't get credit for a lot of the positive things that go on in the sneaker community. Yeah. So, you know, for that alone, I love it.
Yep. What I like about what Paper said is the regionality of it, because even things like a Flight Club or many of the great sneaker boutiques that we've all come to love in our areas, and especially New York, LA, you know, Seattle, we can all mention our favorite boutiques in these areas. They are very territorial or regional, and so I do think that what he's saying is absolutely true, is that this is the right place and right time for this particular model. I will admit it wouldn't work out here. But I think that's a good point to keep in mind.
You know what? I thought about it out here. It might work, but it wouldn't be. How can I put it? It would. When I say work, I'm thinking he could keep his head above water. Okay. You know, like it wouldn't be like he'd just be rolling in the dough. It wouldn't be like I'm going to open up another shop. You know what I'm saying? It wouldn't be nothing like that. But I think
it's like
he can hold his own.
If you pull away from footwear, there's a particular culture that supports the need and vitality of a pawn shop.
I agree.
Your community has to be a high turnover rate for shifting their monies. You know what I mean? It's like one of those check cashing stores. You know.
I think that I think I agree with you, and I think that's the reason why I think it could work in Atlanta, simply because. But like you said, it couldn't be just sneakers. I think New York is the only place you could probably just sneakers. I think if they add like the sportswear thing to it, aka like I said, once again, Plato's Closet. You know what I'm saying? I think if you did the streetwear along with the sneakers, I think you would have some, because you know down here we're a hotbed for streetwear. You know what I mean? Like that's really just as popular, if not more popular, than the sneakers down here. So
So yeah, I just like I said, I didn't want to discredit what they did, because again, it was really a good idea to do it where they did it, considering that, you know, everyone here has been in New York and seen how fast-paced and hustle mode people can be, and how non-committal they were to things where just a week ago they had to have them. So
I really like the way that it's set up. You know, it's set up. I feel like they've clearly done this before, and this really sounds like one of those things where he was doing it on a smaller scale before, and then took it to a bigger scale later. Because you can buy it back, you're gonna pay $20, you're gonna lose $20 for them holding it, or someone else could come in and buy it, and then they're keeping 20% just for making that sale. So it's like,
yep.
Well,
it's
reverse Flight Club, you know.
Right. It's funny because that's the first thing I thought of was consignment shop. You know, because if you're cool with certain people in this consignment shop, you can do this at a consignment shop.
Yeah,
right.
It's reverse consignment.
Yeah,
that's a good way to put it.
Well, we'll, you know, I think this is one of those stories that we gotta keep our eyes on. I know I would like to actually visit this pawn shop at some point in the near future.
Yeah, I've reached out to the kid. Hopefully I could get an email back.
Okay. So keep us posted. Love to get, you know, him and his father to.
Josh, what do you think about this? Another unique new business model.
Yeah, I was about to jump in here. You know, looking at this strictly from a business standpoint, right? Put aside the fact that good that people are trying to start businesses, father, son, all that. Every business needs customers, right? And there is such a easy market to sell sneakers and to buy sneakers. Not just eBay, what we track, but there are so many channels, right? We could sit here and name them for weeks. So if someone really needs money, they can sell their shoe really quickly, and they can buy another one really quickly too. Right? So that's who this guy is competing with for customers. It's someone who has sneakers and needs money. And most people, when they need money and they look in their closet and they see they have 400 pairs of sneakers, at some point are like, why do I have 400 pairs of sneakers? Right? Do I really need 400, or can I have $399 and get whatever money I need? Right? So
get your paper up.
Yeah, so I think that'll be the issue is, you know, for him to get customers. That's who he's competing with, and I don't know if there's someone that falls right in that small niche. Is like, I just need a little bit of money right now, and I definitely want the sneaker back. Right? That's who that person is. So I don't know. I think that's the big business issue.
I think this only exists because of the climate now. You know, this definitely could have existed. You know, maybe 5 years ago, but. You know, when we were coming up in the era we were coming up, I mean, this is just a different generation, I think, that, you know, where it still kills me about how many people just, you know, get a shoe and then they wear it twice, and then as soon as they wear it twice, it's like, okay, who wants to buy it? You know, Instagram.
Flip. And we're not talking about flip-flops.
It amazes me because it's like, you know, what do you have to go? Like, I have so many memories with a lot of my kicks, and that's the thing I love about this. Like we always say here, it's the stories, you know. The things that we can talk about with certain sneakers that we got that we love, and it's like, how can you have a story when you only had this shoe for like 2 weeks, and then you got off of it? What your story is, man? It was a dope shoe when I wore it. Twice, the 2 times I wore it, dope shoe.
Exactly.
And man, hey, I made $100 profit on this motherfucker too. Oh man.
And then in Throwback Thursday, they say, yeah, throwback. I used to.
Right, I had this. Right.
Well, you know what's interesting? Here's the truth of what Sneaker Money, which I believe is the name of the pawn shop. Here's the truth of what Sneaker Money represents now in comparison to what you said 10 years ago. There's a sneaker pawn shop now. 5 and 10 years ago, all across the country, all of these pawn shops were jewelry and electronics.
Yeah.
And instruments.
Yeah,
and sneakers have become a commodity, and they've become pretty sought after.
Exactly, and I was just about to say, I think that's the difference, because if you look up now, you know, like I was just talking to a buddy of mine earlier today. He was saying he wanted to get his son a TV, you know, and flat screens have plummeted in the price.
Yep.
Sneakers are going up in price. You know, so you know you're so right, babe, because you know, like you said, iPads. Hell, you can. You know, I think Dredd was telling me he was walking through the store the other day in Walmart, and they just got on the horn on the intercom and said, "Hey, you know, today only, iPad minis on sale, $189." You know what I mean? Like people are like, "Oh shit, iPad."
Yeah, there's a coupon every week.
You know what I'm saying? It's like, okay, I can go grab this right quick at Walmart. You know, what do I need a pawn shop for?
Yeah.
You know, to go do that versus once again, you know, it's still back. You know, I talk to people all the time, parents all the time. Like I said, people I grew up with who now have kids who are getting into the sneakers, and they always call me for advice. And I tell them, there's no way in hell I'm paying $170, and that's only if you get in line and get it at the store the day it comes out. If you're not able to do that, and you have to work and you have to live, then that means you're gonna have to pay at least $225, $250. Hell,
or just
why
wait till
not
next week
for the same shoe that everybody's gonna have on that same weekend for the next month?
Well,
Why not
the
just
same
go ahead
thing
and
like
build your own shoe, and you don't have to deal with that shit? I tell parents that all the time. It baffles me that people do that, but that's the climate that we're living in.
Well, it's the climate overall.
The dope part of it is, like you said, you pointed out the time shift for what a pawn shop represents from 5 to 10 years ago to now, and even back further. Josh's business and even Sneaker Money represent a snapshot of what exactly sneakers represent as a secondary economy.
right.
Period and point blank.
Right.
Or even wider, Faber, is the fact that a secondary economy is even a term at this point.
Well, it's always been for us with social studies and everything else. It's always been. But now, people like Josh and Sneaker Money, they're now putting a whole lot of weight with their business model behind the fact that we've been saying, there's more than just one level of economy in the commerce of sneakers. We've been saying this for years.
Right.
Well, or even in commerce on the whole is what I mean, because you've had farmers markets and all types of secondary ways to get money on things you can find in bigger stores or other places.
Yeah.
But the shift of importance, the shift of viability of the secondary economy of sneakers as a focal point, that's amazing and crazy to look at. Because like you said, pawn shops used to be electronics. 15, 20 years ago, they were tools and lawnmowers and that kind of thing. So even just the usefulness of a pawn shop and what it represents has shifted based on the hive mentality of what's hot right now. Like, we talk in those terms in the footwear world, but that's actually the truth for everything. Look at cars. It used to be the, economy spaces, little cracker box cars. Then came Cadillacs and SUVs and big cars, and then came luxury cars. And so the public perception and the public attachment to certain things is so frighteningly hive-minded that that secondary economy and the things that are important on resale or trade value actually shift, and it's crazy to watch.
Yep, totally. And when it cools off, the first person who's going to know is Josh.
Yeah. I'm thinking Josh first. What's the data?
He's going to be the first. He's going to be the flagship bearer for being able to say, not Matt Powell.
Yep.
Not Sports One Source. Josh and Campless are going to be the ones who say, y'all, slow it down on buying all the shoes, trying to move them, dude. It's not like how you think it was.
Boots on the ground.
I like how you brought that all the way back around, babe. I like that.
Boots on the ground.
Well, people ask me a lot. A lot of people ask me, are we in a bubble? Can you see, is this gonna, burst and try to compare it to things like the baseball card market, or and there's a lot of similarities in bubbles in general. And I won't give an economics lesson or anything. But the one thing that none of those other have that this has is a central agent controlling it. They might not say they do, but we all know that Nike controls it, right? They're very good at balancing that supply and demand to make sure there's a line outside of Foot Locker at 7:50 every morning, right?
Yeah.
So, it's really hard to say. The only way, in my mind, in the short term, that the bubble bursts is collectively everybody wakes up one day and says, what the hell do I have 500 pairs of sneakers for? Sell.
Right. Well, and I'll even give you a secondary component that adds to that, which is not full, but a modicum of necessity. To play basketball, you need equipment. to do your sports, to do these things, and unless we kicking it way back to Mother Africa, ain't none of us going barefoot no time soon. So the truth is, there's a bit of necessity that then legitimizes the craze.
Yep.
You're right.
Hey, Josh, my only bit of advice to you, which I know you already know, and I only say this because people from the big footwear companies do watch this show, and some of them have seen exactly what you put forth for sneaker lovers around the world tonight. Anybody from any big corporation reaches out to you, regardless of who they are, make them pay. Big time.
What we like to say on OSD tape?
Cut the
check.
Cut the motherfucking check.
Do not lift a finger. Do not run a script of any kind for anyone. For any reason. If they can't get it from going to your site,
that's real.
They will never get it unless they a lot.
Yep.
Because you know exactly how much these shoes are going for after they've left the store.
Yep.
Oh, they're coming. They're coming, Josh.
We like to call these freebies on the show, Josh. Put another matrix in there that is corporate. A corporate level, which is for log on only, and you must contact the owner of the site.
Yeah. And make the password CTC 2014.
Anybody who wants to get it must come see you.
Shit.
So we got one more item to discuss. I need to let Soul Brother get this off his chest because he was really upset about this today. Wasn't he ridiculous?
Which one?
We need to let him get the Lunar Force situation.
Oh, see, I knew you were gonna go here. No.
We need to let him get it off his chest.
Okay, so here's the thing. I know that I'm sometimes the voice of the counter. You know, I play devil's advocate quite a bit. What I was saying,
like I'm gonna do it right here.
We had a nice discussion on the Facebook group talking about the Lunar Force 1 and
I like.
the newest iteration of it. And for me, I've never been an Air Force 1 fan. But this pertains to some things that we had talked about before, because our dear brother Paper will seriously make heads roll if anyone says they like anything but an original Air Max 1.
Believe it.
But the discussion went the route of when new technology gets introduced to older models or models of some kind of memory or some kind of nostalgia, I think we are often lulled to sleep by romantic notions of what we think that shoe used to be versus the actuality of what that shoe used to be. And for me, Air Force Ones were clunky brick tanks that I could never in a million years be comfortable wearing. They look good on other people. It was one of those shoes for me. Like, wow, that looks good on you, bro, but I'm never going to wear that. When they introduce new technology to it, I'm not saying they always do it right, and I'm not even saying I like it. I'm saying it's not that shoe. It can't really one-to-one be compared with that old shoe, whatever the model is that we love or like, because it has new technology. It might bear a similarity to silhouette or borrow some parts and whatnot.
She was
you know, yeah, there it is. That's the shoe there. I would far more be prone to wear that shoe than the original all-white Air Force One. Just my take.
You know what? It's funny because I had this discussion, and I didn't know anything about this Facebook discussion, but I had this discussion with my brother Red Dread. And, you know, we always go back and forth. He's an Air Force One.
Who? You mean Air Force One junkie on Instagram?
Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Everybody knows he loves Air Force One. He rarely wears anything other than that. So the thing is, you know, I always tell him, it's funny because with a lot of cats that did it and who had a lot of this stuff back in the day, you know, sometimes I have to call them old fogey. Man, stop being an old fogey. You know what I mean? Like, the bottom line is sometimes, you know, the new is good. Like, that was always my biggest thing with Air Force. I love Air Force One. It's one of the first shoes I really got into. And everybody knows I'm a sucker for anything gum bottom. And that is one of the better shoes that, you know, they actually utilize gum, really well on that shoe. So I've always had an affinity for, that's one of my top 5 shoes, all white Air Force One with the gun bottom. But with that said, when I put on that Lunar Force, oh man, I loved it. I loved it. And the thing is, it's funny because not that version, but the one that came out last year.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, dude, it's lighter. It's more comfortable. Like, what is there not to like? You know what I'm saying? Like, I know people are into the whole.
It's an upgrade. It's an actual upgrade.
But sometimes, stop being an old fogey, man. Just enjoy it for what it is. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's not that serious. Like, it's a shoe. Enjoy it for that. They didn't say it's the original Air Force One. They said it's the Lunar Force One. You know what I mean? Like, dude, just enjoy it for what it is. Let's stop thinking so much into the shit and just
stop making it. Stop blowing it up. Stop gassing it.
It's hard to do especially if you've been since the beginning of a model.
Right.
That's easier to say, Heat, respectfully, if you weren't around when the shoe was like, fresh on the scene.
Yeah, but I was. That's the point.
I would even say when it first came out, it wasn't even its first biggest popularity.
Let's say D is with the white on white and me with the Air Max 1, because for us personally, our stories behind certain models when they first came out, like for me with the 87 Air Max, like that shoe changed the game for me, in my opinion, more than an Air Force One did.
And I agree completely
And it's not even from a technological standpoint, because the dope thing what Nike's done with the Air Max 1 since then, they just constantly evolved that shoe and made it better and better over time.
Right.
But when you take that shoe and use it as a basis, you're like, God damn, this is a really fucking good start. like damn, y'all did more after this?
Go ahead.
You know, it's like y'all did more after this, and with the Air Force One, I've never owned a pair of white-on-white Air Force Ones, but being in New York, you see how that shoe became such a, not even from a performance perspective, but just a fashion staple for the New York look, that anything that messes that up, people want to burn you and cut you.
That's so funny. That's so funny. Because
I think the biggest problem I have with it is, like I said, I understand, like I said, it's certain things everybody has an affinity for, and you want it to stay the same. It was something that it's a nostalgia thing. It takes you back to that time. Like, I know with you and the Air Max 1, every time you look at that shoe, it automatically takes you back to the very first time you had it, the very first time you saw it, you put it on. I understand that. My main thing is and I don't want to exclude you, but I understand with that colorway. But if they switch up the colorway, you know what I mean, and put a different colorway on it, and maybe make some updated some updates to the version to a new version, like, let's just look at it as that shoe. Now, what does piss me off is when they say, they name it the same thing, and then they do an updated version and they name it the exact same thing. I don't like that.
Well, yeah, Reebok did that with that Kamikaze. That was foolish.
Exactly.
Which is why they went back and brought out the original.
I have a problem with that. Now, but at the same time, like I said, sometimes you just have to look at a shoe for what it is, man. Look, just look at it for the shoe that just came out, 2014. Let's not think about 87. Right. Let's just take it from that shoe, put it on, try it on, see how it is, and if you like it, you like it. If you don't, you don't.
And here's one thing that often makes me laugh, because we know the business and the production of these things. Anything that in 1992 had polyurethane does not have it on the re-release. So you're getting an updated shoe named the same damn thing right there anyway. But we don't beef about that one. We beef about the Lunar. And so that cracks me up.
I like a lot of the new stuff, man. I try to be open-minded. I deal with a lot of younger kids. I try to do a lot of mentoring, things of that nature. And I found myself being that old fogey a couple years ago. Like, with certain shoes, I'm like, man, that ain't the original. Like, especially with Jordans. I was good that ain't the original shit, man. I can't believe y'all like that bullshit. And they started like, you know what, go on somewhere, old man. Like, look, like what you like. You know what I'm saying? And it got to a point, I had to look in the mirror like, damn, I am acting like my dad now. You know what I mean? Like,
I ain't gonna change. I'm not ready with the question.
It's true.
Well, all I'm saying, I just want to encourage people to have a more open mind. You know, the older we get, the more set in our ways we get. That's human nature. You know what I mean? That's for everybody.
Right. Now, two things I want to say here on this topic too. Number one, Josh, if you're listening carefully, there's a new stat category for you. Number two, I have in my closet, now everyone knows if it's not the original red, gray, and white Air Max 1 for me, you shouldn't touch that shoe. But I do have a couple of pairs in my closet, one of which D got me for my birthday a couple of years ago. Well, I don't even think it was my birthday. I think you just looked out and just sent them, D. I can't remember. But a pair of those, and I do have a pair of the Para Air Maxim 1s.
Oh, really? That shocks me that you have that.
You got some Maxims.
That shocks me that you have some Maxims.
Yes,
I
do. Now, mind you, I got them on Uber sale at Dr. J's, which the only reason why I picked them up because for retail, I was like, hell no, get that.
Now let me ask you a question about those Maxims. Are they? Be honest. Are they more comfortable than the originals?
I'm gonna honestly say, aesthetically, I like them, but no, they're not.
Really?
No, they're not.
When I had the pair of Maxims I had, they were extremely comfortable.
With the original Air Max 1, it is very hard to top the comfort in that shoe from top to bottom when it's done right.
That's true. That shoe is lovely.
Yeah, I love that shoe. That's one of my favorite shoes as well.
Breathable mesh. That was breathable mesh in '87.
Yeah.
That's not new.
You're right.
You know, like. There's certain things, certain textures in the way that shoe was made in '87 when it came out that rival shoes today.
Yeah, that's true.
The bottom line is,
which is why I like it.
The bottom line is you can't fuck with Pate when it comes to Air Max 1s.
I mean, honestly,
he'll have open mind with he'll have open mind with other things, but just not that shit.
But wait, listen, I'm gonna go there. The Air Maxim 1, Air Maxim 1. I hate Hyperfuse. Everyone knows. I think Hyperfuse is pure cardboard box bullshit.
It is. It's one of the biggest ripoffs there is. I agree.
But I enjoy wearing that shoe. Like that shoe is almost beat now.
I mean, I like the Hyperfuse for what it did to the 9.7. I posted that up today. I got those photo blue Hyperfuse 97, and anybody that's owned an original pair of 97s know how bullshit that shoe was. So nostalgia is not lost on me. That Air Max 97 was a horrible shoe.
I like that shoe. I like that shoe.
I love it. I love it. But I remember when I bought that shoe, the original first release silver model. Oh, I was in love. I'm like, I'm in training. That was my year to be on the U.S. team. So I was doing my summer training before the World Trials. I took that shoe for about a mile jog. I was heated. It was fun. They've made improvements to that, you know, and so that's where I like to see the improvements and the little things in technology. But yeah, I mean, I get what everybody's saying too, because like I said, I'm not immune to it. You change the question and make that look stupid, and I'm gonna be heated at you. You change the Air Max 93. And I'm gonna be heated. The Huarache, I just got a new pair. I'm loving it because if they done something foolish to that shoe, like D likes and had a pair of the Huarache Freeze.
Yep.
I didn't touch them. No sir, not for me.
Flower shoe as hell didn't touch them either.
I get it right here. I wear them like slippers. I do.
Yeah, I like that shoe. Yep. I like that shoe.
Yep. To me, I'm kind of like Paper. That original Air Huarache design is hard to top in comfort. It was perfect.
Stop being an old fogey, Steve.
So as we D Wells, if Nike wants to send D Wells a pair of Lunar Force 1s for 2004,
do it.
Just for him to try them out.
Lunar Force 1s. Lunar Force 1s. You know what's funny? I'm a purist when it comes to Air Force 1s to the point where you know what shoe I can't stand that a lot of people love and I hate them. I've always hated them, and I've never owned the mids. I hate Air Force 1 mids. That's like the most bastardized shoe ever. That shoe is like a bastard.
Hey, D, ring the bell. We need to stop. We need to stop. If it rings the bell, that means we got to chill.
He was a bastard.
That means we need to stop. He's getting mad.
That one was legendary right there. I remember that from the old show, the old
I know.
podcast.
That was like 200 episodes ago. He went so ballistic. But before we wrap up the show, we got a couple of housekeeping notes that we need to do, in particular mentioning some events. But I want to thank Complex for featuring me and a couple of other Disorderlies and sneaker lovers from around the globe in their Father's Day feature, How to Be an Awesome Father, as told by Sneakerheads, highlighted on my screen there. Shout out to Gerald and Russ and the good folks over at Complex for getting my thoughts on being able to balance my love of sneakers and the business indulgence in them with being a parent, which anyone that knows me knows that my kids are my road dogs.
Words should never be a question.
So I appreciate them doing that feature. That was a very good read from so many other people like Nightwing and Reed from Sneds and a few other folks. I appreciate them giving me that interesting perspective that I've never been asked to speak on before. And feature came out good. I'm actually going to post the picture on Instagram tomorrow. That picture that's featured in the Complex article, I took that exactly 1 year ago on Father's Day, and on Father's Day this year, I took the same picture again in the same spot to show how the kids have changed.
Nice.
So I'm going to post that on IG later. But again, thanks to Complex. What do we have? Cleveland's Got Soul.
Yes, sir.
Sunday, June 22nd, Quicken Loans Arena. Shout out to K-Dog, Andrew, all the good folks out from Akron/Cleveland, Ohio. Everyone who's making their way there. ClevelandsGotSoul.org is the website you need to go to get the details on what's going down on Sunday at Cleveland's Got Soul. All the proceeds go to the Children's Tumor Foundation. All of the proceeds from CGS4, just as they have in the past, all proceeds go to charity. So CGS4 is going to be live on Sunday. And July
Sneaker
9th.
Friends is this weekend, right?
What's that? Yes, which is also in Atlanta the day before. W Hotel Atlanta, Sneaker Friends, DJ Greg Street's sneaker event. You may see some folks, Disorderlies, or Soul Doctors in the building. You may. But either way,
I'll be there.
Report back. Let us know.
I might be there.
Shout out to Greg Street. And then we have on July 19th in Brooklyn, Fresher Than Your Average returns. Fresher Than Your Average sneaker battle returns. The last one in Boston was recently won by OSD's own Soulflower. So we're coming back to Brooklyn to do it again.
It's the only reason I'm going.
In the building. It's going to be a very dope event.
Loud power.
Make sure you hit up the details for that one at ftyaevent.com or the same handle on Instagram, and FTYA Battle on Instagram. So what else we got, D Wells, before we roll out of here? OSD Online Shop. That's right.
Absolutely.
Gotta make sure you get some summer wears on. OSDlive.spreadshirt.com. Make sure you hit up our online shop. We got phone cases. We got buttons. We got shirts going from size small to 5XL. We got exclusive tees for the big footers and the big size brothers. Only for y'all. Exclusive designs. OSDlive.spreadshirt.com. And anybody got anything else they want to put out there? My man Ridiculous, you just did a feature for ridiculous.com early this week, did you not? Or late last week?
Yeah, ridiculous.com. I'm doing I do mixing my pleasure with my business. And so did a feature I do believe it was last week, speaking on let me see, what exactly? I'll go ahead and post the link up, see if I can get that up there. But I often do some posts about culture, about storytelling. We talk a lot about storytelling. There was a great story that I did about the exact same song. We're talking about Shannon and Madonna. I read about that. That that was really important because we talk a lot about storytelling, and I highlighted and sent that link to a couple of our OSD brethren to read about, because it's not just all about the footwear. We try to expand and touch on different points that are used and utilized within our culture. But it comes down to a lot of marketing and messaging and storytelling. And so, just trying to do our part to be OSD.
Word up. And congratulations. Congratulations to the lovely Cece. Sierra Wells, you going to high school?
I'm telling you.
Wow.
You going to high school?
Saw that, bruh.
Nice, man.
Woo.
He's a non-violent man, but believe he's got a shotgun.
I knew you were going to go there.
You let me know if I need to ride out to Boston now. You let me know now.
Word up.
Oh, man.
Anybody got anything else to close out the show with, Josh? One more time, put your contact info out there.
Yep. Campless.com. Everything you need can be found there. Campless.com.
Word up. Ben Berry, you got anything coming up for us?
Nothing. I got the Tim Duncan feature coming out tomorrow. I have Force versus Flight coming out on Friday on Kicks Deals. The Tim Duncan feature is 21 sneaks on thehoopdoctors.com. You got to put the dub.
Nice.
Okay,
Good shit. More food for thought than people realized. So, D. Wells.
Man.
Click on the light in the club and start sweeping up.
I'm telling you, it's about that time. It's about that time. It's been good. Another great show in the books. Thank you once again, Josh, for being our guest on the show and hanging out with us and talking. And as
hang out for a minute.
And as always, man, make sure you tell your people, tell your family, tell your friends. Every Wednesday, 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, OSD, Obsessive Sneaker Disorder, is on the World Wide Web, giving you your sneaker culture news, straight, no chaser, with no bullshit on the side. So, I'll be good. Until then, we're going to go up, and out, till we see you for episode 310. Y'all be good. Y'all be safe.
Yo, you couldn't have picked an older song.
Come on now, man. Thanks, like.